إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Sadaqallahul Semoga pahala tercurahkan kepada yang membacakan dan secara umum kepada kita yang mendengarkannya. Dan teman-teman semua sudah siap ya berada di majelis ilmu ini untuk menimba ilmu hari ini. Karena walaupun di hari akhir pekan, tetap saja ini kondisinya adalah kuliah pada umumnya. Jadi tetap semangat juga dan juga nanti mungkin bisa langsung disediakan perangkat kuliahnya. Kemudian kalau sudah siap untuk menulis juga silahkan disiapkan oleh tulisnya. Baik, selanjutnya kita akan dengarkan terlebih dahulu sambutan dari Dekan Fakultas MIPA Universitas Islam Bandung kepada Bapak Abdul Kudus M.Si PhD. Kami persilahkan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'dah. First of all, let us thank God, the Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given His grace and guidance so that the International General Lecture on topics of downstream of natural product research can be held today successfully. I welcome all of you to this program, which has received great attention not only from our students, but also from all the lecturers and researchers. I express my highest gratitude and appreciation to the lecturers, international guest lecturer. I believe that this lecture will be the source of innovative ideas, concept, and breakthrough in the natural product research. These lectures will not be well organized without the support of various parties. especially from our guest lecturers from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Professor Dato Ibrahim Jantan, and all participants. Therefore, I want to express my gratitude. I especially thanks the organizing committee for their hard work, perseverance, and patience in preparing and organizing these lectures so that it can go well, smoothly, and successfully. Through these guest lectures, let us extend the network and cooperation not only between two universities, between Unisba and Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, but also maybe for the wider parties in the world to build a better science and technology. Thanks for the participation, and hopefully we can get the knowledge and benefit from this program. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Dekan mungkin tetap tampil di depan Pak Dekan, karena setelah ini kita akan penyerahan cendera mata terlebih dahulu dari Dekan Fakultas MIPA Universitas Islam Bandung kepada pemateri kita Profesor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan dari Institute of System Biology INBIOSIS University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Kami mengundang kepada Pak Dekan dan juga Prof Ibrahim untuk bisa tampil di depan Pak. Ini ada penyerahan cendera mata dari Universitas Islam Bandung. Ya, yang pertama ini adalah plakat dari Universitas Islam Bandung. Ya, giving applause teman-teman semuanya. Ya, dan yang kedua ini adalah tafsir Al-Quran yang dibuat oleh Universitas Islam Bandung. Ya, baik, boleh tepuk tangan dulu semua teman. Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak Dekan dan juga Prof Ibrahim. Mungkin foto bersama terlebih dahulu dengan pimpinan fakultas, pimpinan prodi dan juga pimpinan apoteker. Ya, Bu Vinda, mangga Bu Vinda, moderator. Enggak apa-apa, nanti sama Kang Egi. Iya. Ya, Bu Vinda juga sebagai moderator silahkan ikut bergabung. Satu, dua. Ya, baik, terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada Prof Ibrahim, kepada fakultas, pimpinan Fakultas Unisba. Ya, mangga hatur nuhun pisan Pak Dekan, boleh berikan tepuk tangan dulu sekali lagi untuk Pak Dekan Fakultas MIPA Unisba. Ya, selanjutnya ini langsung ke sesi pemaparan materi dari Profesor Ibrahim. Materi yang akan dipaparkan pada hari ini terkait dengan temanya adalah, tema besarnya, Downstream of Natural Product Research. Dan untuk sesi penyampaian materi ini nanti akan dipandu oleh Ibu Moderator kita. Kami panggilkan ke depan Ibu Apoteker Vinda Maharani Patricia, M.Si. Padanya disilakan. Ya, dan sesi penyampaian materi ini langsung akan dipimpin oleh Bu Vinda selaku moderator.
Cek. Okay, thank you, Mr. Rizky. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Abdul Kudus, PhD. The Honorable Head of Undergraduate Pharmacist Professional Program, Dr. Apotheker Suendar, M.Si. The Honorable Secretary of Undergraduate Pharmacist Professional Department, Dr. Apotheker Umi Yuniarni, M.Si. The Honorable Head of Undergraduate Program in Pharmacist Department, Apotheker Sani Ega Priani, M.Si. The Honorable Secretary of Undergraduate Program in Pharmacist Department, Apotheker Kiki Mulkia Yuliawati, M.Si. The Honorable our speaker, and as our guest lecturer, Professor Dato, Dr. Ibrahim Jantan. The Honorable distinguished guests, lecturer, and our students. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of the organizers, we would like to extend a warm welcome and express our gratitude for participating in the International Guest Lecture 2023. I'm Vinda Maharani Patricia, and I'm going to be the moderator of this event today. And now, I'm going to invite our guest lecturer, Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan. Good afternoon, Professor. Welcome to Universitas Islam Bandung, and we invite to have a seat on the stage. Yeah, and thank you for coming in our event. Yeah, before we go to our speaker presentation, let me read the professor profile from the curriculum vitae. Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim bin Jantan is a professor in Institute of Systems Biology or INBIOSIS, Universiti Kebangsaan, Malaysia. He graduated from Bachelor of Pharmacy at University of Mansoura, Egypt in 1981, Master of Medicinal Chemistry, University of Minnesota, USA in 1985, and continued to Doctor of Philosophy or PhD, focus on natural products chemistry in University Malaya 1993. His research expertise are in natural products and medicinal chemistry, pharmacognosy, next, drugs discovery and development, immunopharmacology, and cardiovascular pharmacology. So he has a lot of publication. Okay, next. There are over 200 papers, 4 books, 13 grants, and many others. Okay, Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan, you have 60 minutes to present your presentation, and we continue to question and answer session for about 15 minutes. And Professor, the time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wal aqibatu muttaqin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Saya ucapkan ribuan terima kasih pada Dr. Abdul Kudus, Dekan Fakulti Mathematics dan apa dia? MIPA, dan juga khususnya pada Dr. Suendar selaku Ketua Program Farmasi, dan belum hafal nama lagi. Tapi terima kasih pada barisan dosen daripada Fakultas program farmasi daripada Universitas, kerana mengundang saya untuk mengungsi ilmu, untuk dan juga pelajar-pelajar. Saya tahu di pelajar peringkat apotek, pelajar tahun 4 ni, student tahun 4 yang hadir pada hari ini. Okay, my lecture will be in English. Boleh But you can ask question in bahasa Indonesia. I can respond in bahasa Indonesia, bahasa Malaysia. Sama. Okay, the title given to me is Downstream of Natural Product Research. Downstream natural product research means the development of products for the market, from development of natural products for the market, downstream research activity. But I think it is more appropriate, lebih sesuai kalau saya bermula dari awal, start from the beginning of research, natural product research, daripada makmal research to commercialization, apa dilakukan. Because in natural product research, kita lakukan natural product research for what? Why do you do natural product research? You want to discover two things. One is to discover new molecule for drug development, untuk menghasilkan ubat, betul? Kalau farmasi itu guna ubat untuk treatment pesakit, ya. That is one objective of natural product research. Yang kedua, to produce herbal medicine. There are two different things. Although both of them is for treatment of patient, but they are in different forms. They are in different pharmaceutical forms. So the research approach are different, tak sama. Kalau drug discovery, there is one way of doing it. For herbal medicine, there's one way. So hari ini saya akan mula dengan drug discovery dulu. Drug discovery, penemuan ubat moden daripada bahan alam. Okay, and then my next talk or topic will be development of herbal medicine. Bagaimana kita membangunkan ubatan itu, traditional medicine, untuk menjadikan herbal medicine, ubatan herba, seperti kalau di pasaran sebagai jamu, sebagai herba terstandard. I think pharmacist tahu kan? Lepas tu phytopharmaca. Apakah input-input yang perlu ada untuk setiap produk-produk yang perlu dihasilkan, input-input research that you have to do, you have to perform to provide the scientific value untuk produk-produk ini sebelum produk ini boleh dipasarkan. Okay. Okay. Saya berdiri. Tak apa, I stand here. Okay. So next slide. Okay, ini mungkin secara umum memang tahu. Slide sebelumnya tadi. Slide sebelum. The first slide tadi. Yang laju sangat. Okay. Okay, terus next slide. Okay. Tropical rainforest, tropical rainforest in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, we are very rich in biodiversity, right? Kalau kita lihat, in fact, the most spectacular example of living ecosystem and ultimate in biodiversity, hutan yang luas belantaranya, ya. It harvests greatest gene pool lebih kurang 170,000 of the world's 250,000 non-plant species. Dalam dunia ada lebih kurang 250,000 species, and 170 of them are in tropical rainforest. So more than 80,000 of the species has been used in traditional medicine. We guna dalam perubatan tradisional di seluruh dunia. So in Indonesia, it's rich in biodiversity, about 30,000 to 40,000 plant species, and 2,500 to 7,500 of these species medicinal plant. Okay, natural products as replenishable and robust sources of new drug. Natural product ini satu sumber yang boleh diperbaharui, replenishable, diperbaharui, and as a source of new drugs, new medicine. So 35% of drugs used in modern medicines owe their origins to tropical rainforest. 25% daripada sumber dadah ini daripada, di sini panggil dadah atau ubat ni? Medicine dipanggil apa? Ubat, bukan dadah. Kalau di Malaysia kita, kalau di Malaysia kita panggil dadah. Okay. So in Malaysia we call dadah is the same. We translate drugs into dadah. But it's the same actually. Ubat samalah. Okay. 67% of this is just a data to show how important is natural products as a source of medicine. So, for example, between 1981 to 2018, 67% of the small molecule, 1,562 small molecules, derive or comprise of natural product. So, unfortunately, only 5%, 5% saja yang dikaji. Only 5% tropical rainforest has been investigated for the chemical and also the medicinal value. And yang kita risau, what our concern that what worries us is that the threat of extinction of many of these plants and undocumented old remedies are forgotten. Jadi khazanah ini mungkin hilang kalau tidak dikaji. Dan juga ilmu-ilmu lama traditional medicine itu tidak didokumentasi dengan betul supaya boleh dimanfaatkan oleh generasi yang akan datang. Okey. Kalau kita menjalankan pendidikan natural product, if you are doing to do natural product research, the most important step is to study the traditional use. Jangan dianggap traditional use itu sebagai ilmu kuno yang tidak berguna. No. Because very important information for you to learn, to study. Because information are very useful for you to improve it, translate it, terjemahkan kepada ilmu baru. Scientific translation of the old knowledge for modern use. Okay. Natural products are relationally selected for the remedies of human ailments through casual observations of their curative effect. Apa yang berlaku sebenarnya? Manusia, begitu juga haiwan, orang binatang-binatang atau yang bernyawa. Mereka bila berpenyakit, they will try to find remedies. Kalau lihat binatang buas pun kalau sakit dia cari ubat. Beruk, monyet kalau dia sakit pun dia akan cari ubat. Cara mereka lah. Sometimes kalau pada peringkat awal dulu, saintis menyelidik penggunaan ubat dengan melihat behavior of animal. Contohnya kalau the food atau the plants are not being eaten by the animals, so they may contain poison, right? Kalau dimakan pisang bersama tu sayur-sayuran, so dia mungkin tidak poisonous. So there cannot be a source of drugs. This can be source of food. Tapi kalau ditakut dia ambil, takut dia racun, so maybe a source of poison. So ini maklumat-maklumat ini saya kata dulu is maklumat tradisional, walaupun peringkat primitif, tapi they are useful. So actually it's been used by our old generation people. They use it in the form of crude clinical trials. Apa makna crude clinical? You know what's clinical trial, right? Clinical trial use all the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But what's happening in the ethnopharmaceutical uses, they are doing clinical trial but in a crude way. Tidak ikut phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So, and most of them is through experience, pengalaman. So long-term use of plants by trial and error to treat disease. So mungkin pada peringkat awal dulu, they started with thousands, maybe 10,000 of plant diguna. Boleh tidak. Ada yang racun, ada tak racun sampai it's a screening process. It's a crude clinical trial. But until today, maybe a few hundreds is still being used yang memberi manfaat pada kita. Just by experience. Tidak ada kajian makmal, kajian yang protokol yang betul macam clinical trial. So this is useful, right? They give us some screening of plants being used, so kita penyelidik tak payahlah work on 100,000 of plants anymore. We just work on plants that being used in traditional medicine. So the plants that pass through screening process, mana yang memberi kesan-kesan yang beneficial effects, you continue using it. But scientists, pharmacists, chemists, pharmacologists, and so on, we have to still do research because the science is still not there. Semuanya berdasarkan pada pengalaman, betul? So, sometimes, katalah ubat jamu, diambil dengan anggapan ataupun dengan dakwaan, claims that dia boleh membuat penyakit, tapi belum ada sainsnya. And also it's safe kemungkinan berdasarkan pada pengalaman. But remember, safety is not only acute safety. Safety also will be based on long use, chronic use, betul? So the problem with herbal medicine is you don't have data for mainly chronic use. That's the reason why orang kena side effects of herbal medicine, because data-data chronic use tak ada. So kita assume herbal medicine is safe just based on acute toxicity. That's why kajian perlu dilakukan to prove that they are safe for human use. And also the most important thing, there is current lack of accurate translation, interpretation of ethno-pharmaceutical knowledge by modern scientists. So kita rasa kita hebat. You think you are great modern scientists, but we still fail to translate the ethno-pharmacological value of this information, because there is some information that we need to reveal and to make use of it to benefit further research. Okay, now this is what I mentioned just now. When you want to do natural product research, any one of you maybe one day become a scientist, you can never know your interest. I'm a pharmacist. Initially, I work in a hospital, but after some exposure, some experiences, so I began to love doing research and natural product, medicinal plant, and so on. So when you do natural product research, you have to know what you want. What is the objective? Either you want to develop drugs, modern drugs, the drug discovery, identify chemical list for development on drug, modern drug, or you want to develop high quality, safe and effective herbal medicine. So dua product, two approaches which are not the same, they are different. So if you want to do natural product research, you have to know the end products. Which one you to do? Okay. Maybe pharmacists by now, peringkat apotheker, you should know this, drug discovery pipeline. So you look at this natural products as raw material. Lepas tu buat kajian in vitro maknanya cell study, in vivo animal study, and then if you get good result, you subject the sample to preclinical studies, preclinical till animal study, toxicity study, pharmacokinetics, and so on, pharmacodynamics, and finally clinical trial, clinical study. So this is a normal process for drug discovery for herbal medicine development ataupun health supplement nutrition sama. The difference is that when you do drug discovery, it's a mono target. You work on pure compound, single molecule. Okay. Mono target for in vitro, in vivo studies, you isolate the compound from plant, pure compounds, preclinical studies, clinical studies, finally, you come up with drugs. But if you are working on herbal medicine itu is a complex. It's a mixture of many compounds, betul? It's not pure. So you cannot use this approach. You cannot use a mono-target. You need to use a multi-target. What is multi-target? Multi-target means you have multi-component herbal medicine made of many compounds interacting with many targets in our body. So when you develop herbal medicine, it's not targeting one, katalah cancer. Kalau drug for cancer, you target one protein target in the body to kill the cancer cell. Tapi kalau herbal medicine tak. Herbal medicine is multi-component and many targets in the body. So process, you use herbal standardized extracts. What do you mean by standardized extract? You know what are the chemical markers? Bukan crude extract yang tak tahu apa kandungan. You need to have some information on it. And the extract to be standardized to a marker compound. And then you subject it into the same activity, yeah? In vitro, in vivo, preclinical, clinical studies, all this. Finally, your product is herbal medicine, health supplement, nutraceutical, right? Tapi dia punya activities is the same. But your sample, the sample is different. Of course, the approach, the research approach pun berbeza sedikit. And I will discuss today, kalau masa mengizinkan, 1 hour, about how they do it. Okay, let me start with drug discovery. Drug discovery will be brief. I will spend more time on herbal medicine because the topic sebenarnya mau downstream of nature products. So this is actually focusing on herbal medicine sebenarnya. Drug discovery also downstream, tapi most probably you are not going to focus on it because discovery is not easy. Betul. Walaupun you look at the flow tadi of activity, it looks easy, tapi drug discovery is not easy because of the regulation. Regulation to come up with new drug is not easy. Very strict because you want to use the drug to treat diseases, untuk cancer, hypertension, tapi untuk herbal medicine untuk merawat penyakit-penyakit yang tidak serius. Ya? Ya. So it's not like treating serious diseases, so regulatory-nya tidak ketat. So now, approach in drug discovery, this is history, sejarah, just to show you, kalau zaman awal, the prehistoric period, the prehistoric society, by trial and error, cuba-cuba, trial and error. Less successful and less economical, unscientific and non-rational. Ini macam orang-orang ni lah, Aborigines, ya. Then, empirical approach memang tak ada sains langsung, pakai cuba-cuba, trial and error. Kemudian development of science, kita gunakan serendipity, randomized screening, ethnopharmaceutical knowledge, extraction, isolation of nature product. Serendipity ni apa dia? Serendipity secara tidak sengaja, by chance. You remember discovery of penicillin is by chance, right? Penicillin, a great discovery. The scientist actually is working on fungus, penicillium, and then discover that it has antibacterial effects by chance. And serendipity discover, and then randomized discovery of ubat-ubat yang awal seperti morphine, ya, seperti ubat yang berasal daripada tumbuhan, aspirin, itu secara isolation from nature product, and masih diguna hingga ke hari ini. So the earlier approach bukan maksudnya tidak boleh diguna lagi, boleh isolation, tetapi the chances for you to come up with new drug is not big anymore. So what you need to do, you want to do drug discovery, you need to use the modern approach. Apa modern approach? You have to be evidence-based, logical, systematic, rational, target-based, phenotypic, drug, all this technique. Banyak sekarang ni gunakan AI lagi, artificial intelligence. Banyak gunakan computer-based, banyak gunakan prediction. So, and it's becoming more complex, more expensive, but it's becoming more informative. And also it's faster, cepat lagi. Faster and also more accurate. Tapi it's becoming, as I said, more difficult, more complex. Okay. Drug discovery 1 century ago, this person Paul Ehrlich is a person who is responsible for the magic bullet approach. Apa itu magic bullet? You study pharmacology, right? So in pharmacology, you study one drug. You don't study multiple drugs. You study one drug interacting with one receptor, producing one response. This is magic bullet approach ataupun reductionist approach. Reductionist menjadi kecil. Reduction, reduce. So, in fact, this approach has been used more than 100 years ago. And the person coming up with this approach or this strategy is Paul Ehrlich, a Nobel Prize recipient, 1908. So if you look at what he mentioned, he quoted, it's exactly the same until today, how you discover drug from natural products, summer. The only difference, we are using different technology, different methods, different techniques. If you read what he said, he started with screening of thousands of compounds from natural, from synthesis, and then doing animal study, cell study, animal study, and do clinical study. Finally, they come up with the compound. So exactly the same. Tapi the difference is the new method, more systematic, more advanced. Okay, we are still using the same. This is known as reductionist approach. Reductionist approach, bullet-based, mono-target drug intervention. This is what you study in class in pharmacology. You do drug discovery, you screen. Screen means you look or you screen for thousands or maybe 10,000 of compounds. By screening of old and new compounds, and then test on cell, test on animal, in vitro, in vivo. Okay? It's a screening process. Daripada maybe 10,000, you screen from in vitro, you get 100, and then from in vivo, you get 10 compounds, and then proceed to, and you can come out with one compound, a chemical lead. Of all these compounds you screen, other one compound is the most potent, the most active. And this you come out with a chemical lead. From this chemical lead, you do synthesis. You come out with analog, derivative, and then you test it again, preclinical study. You test to animal, you look at the safety, you look at the pharmacokinetics, you look at the pharmacodynamics. And then finally, kalau you have all the data, then you submit your compound to clinical trial. Clinical trial, 1, 2, 3. And then if the clinical trial produces good result, then you can register your products under the regulatory, under the management, under the authority as a new drug application. And then finally, you get approval and then the product will be in the market. And of course, you have phase 4. Why is phase 4? This is surveillance actually. If the drug produces any side effects, it can be withdrawn from the market and then can be reinvestigated again, maybe to reduce the toxicity and so on. So this is the pipeline for drug discovery from the beginning and sampai akhir, and it's a long process. You know, it will cost now, in Malaysia, there's not, in Indonesia, belum ada lagi. No success story yet. Because it's very costly, it can cost you sampai $100 million, 300 million, depends on the drug you want to develop. It takes maybe 30, 40 years. So it's a very high-risk investment, and only multi-national macam big pharmaceutical company yang, kalau university memang tak mampu, because very costly. So it's academic actually. Kalau you want to develop, those yang company yang come up with drugs are big company, macam Pfizer, macam apa ni, they can come because they have a lot of money for it. Okay. Now, ini secara, just to brief what I mentioned just now. First, when you screen your natural products, your plant, extracts ataupun compounds, ultimately you want to come out with a lead compound. Lead compound means, let's say you start with 1,000 compounds. Of this 1,000 compounds from in vitro study, is the most active. then it become the lead compound. And then the lead compound, you synthesize, come up with analog, derivative, yeah? And then you do structure, activity, relationship study, and then you come up with, you uplift it into a drug candidate, and then project compound. And then you go for clinical trial, we call it project medicine, investigational medicine. These are all clinical trial stage. There is a value of death. What we call value of death? Ini kajian ke atas haiwan. Ke atas sel, ke atas haiwan. And then this is investigation in human. And value of death, maksud failure rate is the highest at this stage. From the stage you want to proceed from animal study to human study, itu failure rate very high. Can go to 80 to 90% failure. So from animal study, the result is very good, very impressive. But when you do it in human study, it's a failure. So that's the reason why, one of the reasons is very costly. Sudah spend about 20 million, tidak berjaya, you stop, you have to stop there. You also have to repeat, do synthesize, resynthesize, more derivative, and before you proceed. So, and in this study, this pipeline, drug pipeline study, from laboratory to clinic to the market, yeah, you need, or the company need to apply for patent to protect their rights. So you can apply patent right from the beginning until the end. Okay, of course, at the end it's more important. Yeah, the drug need to be patented. And then you have, and if you are doing in the lab, you need to have good laboratory practice. And then if you are doing in the clinic, you have to good clinical practice. If you are going to do in the factory, you have to good manufacturing practice. And then you have to apply, I mentioned, in the investigational new drug application. All these are important to safeguard your right. I mean, it's a patent product. So these are what I mentioned, from laboratory to clinic and the market. So it's a multidisciplinary. From the beginning, drug discovery, drug development, involve medicinal chemistry, involve pharmacology, involve preclinical studies. Yeah, it's a very, very complex process until finally you get the product in the market. Now, these are the new instrument techniques. I think some of you won't be familiar now, maybe later on. They're very expensive. Just to mention, for example, this instrument, we call it high throughput screening HTS-based approach. This is a robotic instrument. If you do it manually, for one person, you can, maybe you have a good worker, you can isolate or test 10 compounds per week. But this instrument, high throughput screening, they can screen 10,000 compounds in a week. So you need some automated to speed up the process. And then you have medicinal chemistry, all this NMR. Okay, maybe I don't need to go detail on this. So in the 1980s, the emphasis of natural product research in 80s, pada tahun 80-an, people, the drug company, they are not interested to use natural product as source of drugs. Why? Because of the failure rate. And also because of the yang paling penting, most important thing is IP rights ownership issues. Di mana penyidik, let's say they come do research in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, they don't have the rights to own the product, hasil kepunyaan negeri or the country. So drug company, they said they are not interested anymore because of this mechanism. And also the high failure rate, okay, the time-consuming, highly complex, expensive, and effective, high throughput screening, as I mentioned just now. And then the advancements of molecular biology, combinatorial chemistry, all these effects, the increase, for example, the molecular biology increase the number of molecular targets, the computer conventional chemistry provide large libraries of synthetic compounds. So we don't need natural products anymore. So we can get it by synthesis and so on. So that's what happening in the 80s. But in the 90s, there is revival of this natural product. So because of failure of HTS and so on. And the most important thing is the IP. IP rights and ownership issues I mentioned just now. In the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, there is two conventions or two protocols. One is the UN Convention of Biodiversity in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro 1992, and in Japan, Nagoya Protocol of Convention on Biological Diversity in 2018, which state about the legal frameworks for a fair and equitable sharing of benefits between participating parties arising out of utilization issues. Jadi pada tahun ini, in the 90s, drug company yang datang membuat research, hasilnya dia boleh share. Dia boleh berkongsi dengan negara asal. So with this, the drug company are interested to work with the natural product again. So I skip this. So these are two important discoveries recently that revive natural product research as a source of drug. And these are great discovery. Yang ini kalau tahu artemisinin dapat Nobel Prize, Professor Tu Yoyo, save millions of people from malaria. The structure artemisinin, yeah, it's a Chinese scientist. So, and then another discovery is discovery of statin. Ini orang, especially guys, banyak sakit jantung, atherosclerosis. So the first person to discover statin, anti-cholesterol, is in the form of compactin daripada Penicillium citrinum, Dr. Akira Endo. And then this lead to discovery of more statin, levastatin, atorvastatin sampai sekarang. And atorvastatin is the top drug ataupun top sale drug in the world now. So ramai orang ambil atorvastatin. Atorvastatin adalah sintetik, but asalnya adalah daripada structure ni, compactin, isolated from Penicillium citrinum, discovered by Professor Akira Endo. So these two great discoveries indicates atau reveal the importance of natural products as a source of new drugs. Okay, and then the drug company become more interested again on this. So these are approaches to natural product research, drug discovery. I think okay, these are two different ways of, I've mentioned just now. You do natural product research, either you want to discover new drugs or you want to develop develop herbal medicine, quality, safe, and effective herbal medicine. So this is drug discovery approach, empirical earlier, modern I mentioned earlier, and then you have target-based, phenotypic, drug repurposing, and then for herbal medicine, you have network-based multi-target, network pharmacology, omics technology, and so on. Okay, maybe it's quite detailed. I wouldn't go into detail. I think I'll skip on drug discovery. I'll skip on this. Okay, the need to discover drugs by alternative ways. The reductionist approach, the one that I have discussed just now, has not been successful. It's not a good investment. 95% of experimental medicine studied in human failed to be both effective and safe. Cuma 5% saja yang berjaya. So out of 100 compounds they investigated, only 5 drugs reached the market. 95 failed. Yeah. So the median cost, I said, is very high for new drug. It can reach to $350 million, and it's escalating. And some drug, for example, to treat major disease can go to billion. That's why R&D approach should lower failure rate, early identification of these bottlenecks or failures, and re-engineer pipeline to reduce. So what is important in drug discovery? Using the reductionist approach, as I showed you just now, they need to reduce the cost, the time, the duration, and so on. Reduce failure rate, and they have not been successful in doing this. So we need to think of alternative way, and that's what the scientists, the modern scientists now are thinking. Find ways that we can do research faster to come up with new drugs, and also cheaper, coming out new, more effective drugs. Okay, okay, I don't go in detail. Now, let me tell you why. Because limitation of reductionist approach in drug discovery. When you study drug discovery, you are using the magic bullet approach, right? Macam ni. Ini drug, ini target, right? So you can solve, or you can come up with drugs that can treat some diseases. But the complex diseases like cancer, cardiovascular diseases, immune disorders, neurodegenerative disorders, they are not easy to treat by using this approach. Seperti cancer. Cancer, that's why when people are treated with drugs, chemotherapy, for example, right? It's not that effective because they may suffer from relapse. They can, because of metastasis and so on. So, and also if we are having problem with cardiovascular disease, it's very complex disease. So maybe the monotarget is not appropriate anymore. So difficulty in identifying relevant intervention to target such complexity. So bullet-based, monotarget, this bullet-based, atau monotarget intervention cannot effectively combat the complex pathologies of systemic disease seperti yang ini, cardiovascular and so on, and they are regulated by complex biological network and depend on multiple steps of genetic environmental changes to progress. So then you need to have a paradigm shift, pemikiran berubah, paradigm ke pemikiran cara yang lebih inovatif. Especially if you want to work on herbal. I'm going into herbal medicine now. Okay, so this is magic bullet strategy. This is your drug, one bullet, one component. This is your magic shotgun strategy, your herbal medicine, multi-bullet. So herbal medicine complex kan, banyak compound, right? So with the magic bullet strategy, this is what we have been taught in class in pharmacology. Monotarget drug, discover, develop highly specific compounds against a particular target, right? You study this, right? But now, let us think in a different way. Let's say your compound, your sample is a multi-component, herbal medicine, multi-target drug. And they are not acting on one protein. They are not working on one enzyme, working on many targets, multiple targets. So we call it multi-target drugs. Actually, these drugs are present in the market. You don't realize it. We have multi-component drugs. We have promiscuous drug. What is multi-component drug? Multi-component drug are mixtures of different molecules selectively acting on multiple receptors. Drug itu campur, 2-3, when you enter the body, acting on many receptors. Or you have a promiscuous drug, one molecule, one drug, tetapi dia banyak functional group. And the functional group are acting on different receptors. So these are called promiscuous drug. Individual, multi-target single agent. Single molecule selectively targets multiple receptors. Okay? So, contoh, multi-component drugs. Herbal medicine. This is a multi-component. Combined use of standardized extract and chemical seperti Artemisia annua, artemisinin as the chemical marker, standardized, and chloroquine, antimalarial agent, combined together to treat the antimalarial, to reverse drug resistance in malaria against Plasmodium falciparum. So this is a multi-component drug. It's available in the market, right? And then you have promiscuous drug. Yang ini, one molecule, but they have many functional groups. We call it multi-target directed ligand. Molecule designed to combine functionalities to hit multiple targets simultaneously. One good example is curcumin analogs as antioxidants, anti-inflammatory agent. So dia boleh bertindak sebagai agent, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, dan juga anti-cancer. Okay, aspirin, another example, another example, aspirin, therapeutic effects. Aspirin pada awalnya at high dose 250 mg is used as a painkiller, as it's an analgesic agent, betul? But pada dose 100 mg, it has anti-platelet effect, right? So it's being used for atherosclerosis untuk prevent platelet aggregation. So the mechanisms are different, although it's a drug, same molecule, but it's used based on dose for different purpose. It's because of the functional groups. Okay, contohnya macam ini. This is curcumin. So curcumin has many functional groups. Methoxy group, hydroxy group. You have the linkers, 7 carbon, and then you have the ketone group here or the enol group, and all these are playing a role. So kalau you modify, for example, this group, OH group, by OH group, preferably at methylation here, on aromatic ring, increase nitric oxide inhibition. So you, for example, you present aromatic amide in this group, at this position, increase antioxidant activity. You can show a drug, you develop them, you can, one molecule with multiple effect, multiple target. Okay? Itu ataupun we call it promiscuous drug. So now the recent technique to help you to use the multi-target, multi-component approach, you use a method we call system biology. The system biology approach to drug discovery and herbal medicine development is a quantitative, holistic approach to integrate diverse data types with molecular as well as pathway information, bioinformatic analysis. Okay, what is all this all about? Omics, platform technology, for example, metabolomic, you heard about that? Proteomic, genomic, all this omic platform technology. You have the bioinformatic, you have structure biology, all this being used now to help to understand the complex activity, the multi-component, acting multi-target receptors. And this technique is very good for you to use if you want to study herbal medicine. Kalau you don't use this technique, you use the modern technique for drug, tidak mencapai. You won't serve what you want to do to study the mechanism, the effects of the herbal extract. So you need to look at the pathway. You need to analyze the signaling pathway, which can be determined by using the system biology approach. For example, as mentioned here, an increase in knowledge base of metabolites, protein genes from high throughput experimental data to help to understand the complex biological system and accelerates hypothesis generation and testing in disease model. So using this method, you understand what are the metabolites. Because if you take herbal extract, contain many compounds, betul? When enter the body, they become metabolites. So maybe you have from 50 compounds become metabolite, kali dengan 5 kalikan 10, you have 500 metabolites, right? 500 metabolites. And 500 metabolites in your body interacting with many receptors in the body. So macam mana nak study? It's not easy, right? So you need to have all this approach system biology, contohnya metabolomic. You need to know the protein that helps us to understand more the protein expression, the gene expression, the RNA expression, DNA expression, and then you can describe the mechanism from all this database yang you develop. Then you know the pathway. what are the signaling pathway involved in the interaction of all these metabolites. So becoming more complex. The information, these are the system biology approach. So this is how it looks like. So I think we complex, but just to simplify it, let's say this is your drug, yang bulat-bulat ni, the drug. The drug is not actually attacking one receptor. Kalau you work on herbal medicine, when it enter the body, it interact with many receptors, betul? Many receptors, and you can see some of receptors, some of the targets, they also have interaction with each other. They cross-talk, bercakap antara satu sama lain. They are not in isolation body. So at the end, you have the response. So it's a target network. It's a networking, rangkaian. It's very complex in the body. So you need a lot of techniques seperti system biology approach. You need to have metabolomic, all this omic approach. Yeah, you need to have system biology approach, computer-based and so on to predict. All these are prediction. But after all this prediction, all this, you need to validate your prediction by experiment. You jangan cakap, oh, based on this prediction, the drug is acting on receptor 1. Belum, it's not conclusive yet. This is just to give you a very good prediction for you to proceed next by doing experimental cell study, animal study, sampai ke clinical trial. And this information helps you to understand how the complex multi-component drugs in herbal medicine, automatic component in extract, herbal extract, interact with the multi-target in your body to give the response. And most of these are predictive. Apa maksud predictive? Jangkaan yang hampir tepat berlaku. Tapi you need to validate, buktikan later with experiment. You cannot stop here. Katalah you do in silico study gunakan computer, right? You draw structure ubat, lepas tu you do molecular modeling, you know docking, tengok dia duduk pada receptor, and then you conclude, no, it's not, you cannot conclude. It's just a prediction. What you need to do, you need to validate what you have done there by experiment. And most probably, selalunya, it correlate very well. They're in line. But sometimes it doesn't work at all. Most probably, your prediction is not right. Most probably, the drug is not reacting with the receptor you are targeting. Right? So you need to change the target, and then you have to work it out again. So this is what is happening. Yeah. Okay. Just to show you example, is the complexity of what I'm saying. This is a work on polyphenol to discover the anti-inflammatory effects of polyphenol. So polyphenol, which is present in our diet, in fruits, vegetable, banyak kan? So, menggunakan system biology, you systemic analysis of polyphenol metabolome using a database. So, but the database is there. So you make use of information to extract information on the metabolites. Let's say you are working on quercetin, camphorol. So database will provide you information what the possible metabolites of camphorol, quercetin, for example. So you extract that, and then you do molecular docking, study polyphenol with receptors, computer-based, and then you do the signaling pathway. This is more of the protein expression, information from protein expression, so on. So you look at the effects of the polyphenol on signaling pathway in human macrophage, and then metabolomic approach to identify novel biomarkers. So you want to know what are the compounds responsible for the activity, okay? And then effect on protein gene expression. So all this information will provide you on the effects of the extracts, yeah, on the on the targets. So this is system biology. Okay. Ini pasal COVID-19 hari itu, kan? So let's say, what happened when you are infected with COVID-19, ataupun you are infected by SARS-CoV-2, the virus. So there are two different stages, kan? Yang pertama, stage 1, stage 2, what happened to your body? Your body become infected with the virus. Betul? Selepas itu, you got cytokine storm, reboot cytokine, hyperinflamasi, sampai orang ramai yang tewas ataupun maut is because their organ is due to the hyperinflammation cannot function anymore, organ failure. So it's not the virus, antivirus tu, the initial part yang menyebabkan kematian is the inflammasi. So people are saying that to discover new drugs. Of course, vaccine has been very successful. Tapi we are also trying to look for drugs from natural product, for example, that can be used as an antiviral. Dia ada dua peringkat. Peringkat pertama, you need to discover antiviral agent. Peringkat kedua, kena cari apa? Cytokine storm, anti-inflammatory. So, using system biology, you study the mechanism antiviral action of chemical against the virus. So these are the entry mechanism. For example, the virus will enter the host cell. They enter menerusi the S protein. Betul? And then interact dengan the host ACE2. Right? To enter the host cell. And then that host cell, they will interact with the protease, the main protease, yeah? And then sampai ke RDRP ataupun the RNA, dependent RNA, progression protease, and so on. Finally, they replicate, they multiply in it, and then they release. And then the virus multiply in body, and then you need to have an antiviral agent. So what you need to do, you need to find agent that can inhibit all these different stages. So inhibition of virus at the entry point, ACE, cellular receptor inhibition. So bila virus dengan S protein dia interact ACE2 from the host cell. So if you can have a compound that can inhibit the interaction, so there won't be any S atau spike protein of the virus, ACE2 of the host cell to interact, because telah ditahan, diinhibit, diblock oleh the compound, right? Ataupun you can inhibit di dalam ni semasa inhibition of viral replication, I mentioned just now, you can block it at the protease, at the RNA dependent polymerase, RDRP ataupun the 3CL Pro ataupun the main protease at this different stage. So you can inhibit entry point, the S protein ACE2 ataupun at the replication protease, or inhibition fusion, because the virus can also enter the cell through fusion, permeation, menerusi wall. So inhibiting fusion itu pada awalnya menggunakan chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. Mekanismenya adalah menerusi fusion. So you can have a drug inhibit the fusion of this virus seperti chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, then it can prevent the virus from attacking the immune cell, menyebabkan antiviral effect. Okay, so macam mana nak faham ni? How do you understand? You need to understand mechanism before you come up with your strategy to discover drug. Without understanding the mechanism, how it works, macam mana? So you need to know how it works first. And all the technique I mentioned just now, gunakan system biology, protein expression, gene expression, are very useful because they give you all this information. And this information can help you to proceed the next step of the essay. Okay. Ini the next step. Pasal bila kita kena virus, bila kena SARS-CoV-2, permulaannya adalah viral multiplication, tempat kita punya lung ni kan. Lung virus at the upper part of respiratory tract, multiplication is very fast. So you need to have an antiviral agent. You know the mechanism just now, to inhibit which steps. But when your body has suffered, the virus managed to multiply in the body, so they will attack the lower respiratory tract, and your lower respiratory tract will be inflamed, menyebabkan hyperinflammation due to excretion of the cytokine, chemokine yang menyebabkan inflammation. So you need to have an anti-inflammatory agent to stop the cytokine storm, to stop production of the pro-inflammatory cytokine. So you still need to understand how it works here. Then you manage to discover what are the compounds that can be used to inhibit all this receptor. These are multi-component. As I mentioned just now, you cannot use mono-target leadership approach to solve this problem. Because very complex, you need to have many receptors here to deal with. Now, clinically, they are the most popular protein target they are working on is interleukin-6 and interleukin-1 beta. So this, and they come up with drugs, the tolizumab, salimumab, and another one is silizumab. This is used clinically now. The rest is still experimental. So when the virus is attacking the body, they produce all the, they populate all these protein kinase, the pathway, they produce the inflammatory, pro-inflammatory cytokine here. COX-2, interleukin, cytokines, and finally you cause inflammation, hyperinflammation. So you need to stop this. So I'm just giving you one example. To show you the just to show you example the complexity. Bukan mudah ya. Kalau you want drug discovery, you need, it's not looking at the superficial results. You need to understand deep, understand what is going on inside. Then you become a good scientist. Betul. Orang cakap, you as pharmacist, people ask you about COVID-19. You need to explain then macam ni. But if you don't have enough information, you don't learn about the mechanism of anti-inflammation, information about antiviral. So how can you explain about the use of herbal medicine? So during semasa era pandemic COVID-19, a lot of people are taking alternative medicine, herba and so on. So you as a pharmacist, macam mana nak advice? You don't know because you don't understand the mechanism. So that's very important to, as I think as student, I was pharmacy student also. I developed my interest, the inquisitiveness. Inquisitiveness is keinginan untuk tahu. Have to be always be there and have to be very strong. Then you can become a good student, a good scientist. If you get information from just face value, superficial, but you have the thirst for new information, inquisitive, nak tahu. Kalau biasa sibuk, tukang sibuk lah, sibuk in a crude word. Tapi actually, as a good scientist, a good student, you need to read more. Kena lebih lah. To me, as a pharmacy student, sampai peringkat apoteker, you have to have this information. These are basic information, walaupun nampak kompleks. Tapi at least you are the resource person to explain what's happening. Now, I'm going to herbal medicine. Okay, now herbal medicine. I'm done with drug discovery. So herbs digunakan untuk apa? Macam-macam kan. It can be used as food, culinary herbs, flavors, spices, ini memang kita ambil every day. Cosmetics, ya, orang sometimes suka pada natural product. Dia kata kononnya natural product are safe. Okay, kononnya. And then nutraceuticals, functional foods, herbal medicine or herbal remedy. This is our concern. Okay, and then you have source of lead molecule for drug. We have discussed this just now, right? So now we're going to discuss herbal medicine or herbal remedies and how they develop the plant material into herbal medicine, nutraceutical. What are the downstream processing? Okay. Before that, herbal products with scientific innovation. Maksudnya, nutraceutical, herbal medicine, standardized extract, health supplement. These are herbal products with scientific innovation. So, if you draw a diagram like the pyramid or triangle to show this, the value of extract, plant extracts, you can see you increase the scientific input, you do research, you increase the value. At the bottom of the pyramid is traditional medicine. Ini maklumat traditional, pengalaman, as mentioned. Crude clinical trial. Remember I told you? There's no scientific evidence at all. And then fresh herbs, dried herbs, culinary herb untuk makan. As long as you don't worry, asalkan dia selamat, betul? And then cosmetic, kena ada ilmu sikit lah, ada sains. Supaya dipakai, nampak cantik. Cosmetics just to make yourself beautiful. Nothing more than that. And then functional foods, ini information tentang nutritional value. Vitamins, contain the polyphenol and anti-inflammatory. Health supplement, nutraceutical. Finally, drugs. Drug is not easy. Why? The scientific input is the highest. Herbal medicine is sama, hampir sama dengan drug. Standardized extract also. It's a lot of work, a lot of scientific work. Extracts, and this is how it looks like. So if you want to do downstream processing, which destination? Apakah destinasi yang kamu mau? You want to have herbal medicine, so you need to have all the scientific input right from the bottom here. Kalau just as functional food, mungkin tengah-tengah here. Because this relate with regulatory. Herbal medicine, kalau di Indonesia you have jamu, herbal terstandard, phytopharmaca, clinical trial, herbal terstandard, animal study, betul? Kalau jamu enggak apa-apa. Ethnopharmacology cukup. Tapi what's happening in the market, they don't care. They put a lot of claims for jamu. Jamu can be used to treat cancer, which is not right. Student of pharmacy have to protect the right of the consumer, the safety of the consumer. What is the most important aspect of the product? Pharmaceutical product. Apa yang paling penting? Safety. I've discussed with you the drug discovery pipeline. Which one is more important? Efficacy, of course, is important, but the most important is the safety. That's why you do the testing, preclinical study, animal study. They make sure it's safe, baru pergi clinical trial. Kalau dia tak selamat, preclinical, if you kill the animal and so on, no, you cannot proceed. Kalau efektif macam mana pun in animal study, if it's not safe, you have to stop here. So the same thing on herbal medicine, sama. That's why you have regulatory, diasingkan jamu, herbal terstandard dengan phytopharmaca. Phytopharmaca itu ada bukti-bukti scientific menerusi kajian ke atas manusia. Okay.
I'm sorry, Professor. Your time is 5 minutes left.
Okay. So complexity herbal preparation, very complex. It's a multi-component, betul? Multi-component. And we have little information, little knowledge on the active ingredient, biological activity, difficult to standardize, difficult to define the claim. In fact, scientific term, traditional, dia kata ini diguna untuk menjadi bijak, menjadi cerdik. Right? Tapi kita nak define in scientific term macam mana? So, it's not easy. So, lack of hard evidence for efficacy, unknown toxicity. These are lack of clinical data, the criteria of herbal preparation. It's very complex. Kalau you want to do research, it's not easy. Downstream processing, downstream activity to come up with herbal, it's not easy. You can come up with jamu mudah, no problem. Come up with some nice packaging and so on, label and so on, promosi, iklan. It's not difficult, but it's difficult if you want to produce a very ethical product that follow the regulation. Okay, for example, like this. These are characteristics of herbal product. And not only in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Philippines, all over the world, in India. Sama. Okay. Some of them in polyherbal breed, complex mixture, more than one herb. Sampai 5-6 herb satu preparation. And then qualitative analysis, chemical constitution and identification biomarkers are difficult. Standardization is difficult. Lack of proof efficacy on clinical data, no study on human, insufficient information, ingredient, indication, dosage, pharmacology, semua tak ada. Contraindication, no information at all. And then toxic adverse effect, especially chronic effect, toxicity has not been reported. So you, as health professionals, pharmacists, adakah you want to promote a product that has insufficient information like this with high risk? So you're not doing a good job because you are exposing your patient to high risk. Betul? It's not like modern. Bukan orang kata, you are proponent of modern. Yeah, we call proponent medicine evidence-based clinical trial, semua kan. Kalau herbal medicine have all this information without lacking all this data I mentioned just. Yeah. Okay. So the key issues of herbal medicine is actually on the quality, on the efficacy, on the safety. Okay. Herbal research, as I mentioned just now, is not different from drug research. The only difference is the middle one. The same like drug discovery, you have efficacy test, you have safety test, betul? But drug discovery, you don't have quality test, very little quality test, drug. But for herbal research, it's very, very intensive quality research. Why? Because it's a mixture. Kalau you dapat herbs daripada Sumatera, daripada tanah Jawa, species yang sama, the chemical composition may not be the same, right? So you have to have the same quality. You have to standardize. So that's why when you work on herbal medicine, you have this major component, quality, comprehensive phytochemical analysis, standardization, pharmacognosy, physicochemical, and then you have to make sure it's free of impurities, residual analysis, and then the product can be a single herb preparation, polyherb preparation. Safety is the same, macam drug discovery. Efficacy sama. So only difference is the quality research. Okay? So it's the holistic approach. Herbal medicine, you do ethnopharmacology, experience-based, this is important. You, as I mentioned just now, you have to start your research with knowing the traditional uses first. And then do microbial identification. This is pharmacognosy actually. And then phytochemical profiling, standardization. And then you do all this quality control, quality evaluation using all the instrument, HPLC, TLC, fingerprint analysis, chemometric analysis, SMS. Yeah? These are all quality evaluation. And then it's a multi-component, multi-target approach, remember, because herbs, yeah? And then you have toxicological studies, multi-component in vitro INBIOSIS, preclinical studies, final clinical trial. So, holistic approach for herbal research. Efficacy, okay, very important. Biological response determined by concentration of active ingredients. Let me go here. So, efficacy of herbal medicines, mentioned to you just now, in Indonesia, in Malaysia also, you differentiate, they classify into jamu, herbal tersenanda dengan herbal. Okay. Kalau you put it in a more scientific way, it can be described as genuine herbal medicine, experimental herbal medicine, questionable herbal medicine. So what do you mean by genuine herbal medicine? This is herbal medicine with clinical trial. clinical trial data. Has been subjected to rigorous scientific study, evidence-based, scientific-based, and also with clinical trial. And you have all this ginseng, ginkgo biloba, fever, valerian, St. John's wort. You can sell it in the pharmacy. So, produk-produk ini adalah produk herbs yang terstandar. Kalau di Indonesia, this is not local herbs. It's a commercial herbs, yeah. But it can be sold. In fact, in Europe, the doctor prescribing this to treat diseases. Yeah. So these are genuine herbal medicine because they clinical trial data. Experimental herbal medicine itu banyak di Malaysia, banyak di Indonesia. What does it mean? They have all the scientific study except no clinical trial. So kalau di sini herbal yang terstandar, ini phytopharmaca. Right. Questionable herbal medicine, ini jamu. Questionable product quackery. Produk ini betul ke tidak? Atau tipu, palsu. Lacking scientific documentation, lack of scientifically plausible rationale, therapeutic claims only based on ethno-medicine ataupun ethnopharmacology, placebo effect, kesan placebo, most of the local herbs products in the market. Macam minyak ikan, minyak ular, snake oil. It can be used to treat anything. I'm not saying jamu is like that, tapi seolah-olah jamu is like that because no research. It's just based on penggunaan tradisional dan dokumentasi. Okay. So what you need to do for downstream processing, you need to give all the scientific input, scientific value I mentioned just now. Increase scientific value, so the questionable herb can become a genuine herbal herb seperti ginseng. Okay.
1 minute left, Professor. 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, dear participant, please quiet, please, for the moment because the azan. So we break for several moments. Please be quiet for participant. Okay, we continue.
Okay, if you look at herbal product industry, these are the flow of activity from upstream until downstream activity, and you have to be collaboration, integration of activity. You cannot be on its own. We have been talking about this, research and development. We've been talking about in vitro, in vivo study, preclinical study, clinical studies. What you want to do, you want to develop high quality, safe, effective products, high value herbal product, nutraceutical, health supplement, medicine. You want to develop high phytopharmaca, herbal standard, and so on. Yeah. Right? But it's just R&D. They are dependent on each other. You have to start with the upstream activity. The plant material you supply, you got. You have to have high quality. Production, supply high value herbs. You cannot get it from the forest. You get forest, it can be anything. It can be something that may be different from what you have been producing. So that's why you need to make sure, maybe you need to do plantation, a monoculture for this. And then you have downstream activity, how you process the plant, manufacture to produce high quality products. And then you need regulatory policy, whether your product can be categorized as herbal standard or phytopharmaca. So far in Indonesia, only 22 phytopharmaca and about 100 plus herbal standard, about a few thousand jamu. Okay? So regulatory policy, and then market commercialization. You want to make money, right? So have to high value investment and business. So this is the whole strategic alliance of herbal product industry. Research R&D is very strong, very good. It's not enough unless you get a very good supply of high value herbs, right? Processing, downstream processing, high quality of product and so on. Now, what are downstream activity? Processing, extraction, product formulation. So the harvested plant material pre-processed before extraction. Yeah? So plants are extract and so on. I think some of you may have experienced this. And then various extraction technique can be used to optimum the yield, high quality extracts. And then value-added processing, product formulation, produce diversity, high quality finished product as part of medicine, nutraceutical, health supplement, and this is what you do in downstream activities. Okay, objective for herbal processing: produce optimum yield and value, high quality extracts, and then produce extract enriched with the desired biological activity, produce standardized extract, obtain pure phytochemical, and then formulate, produce diversity high quality finished product as phytomedicine, nutraceutical, as supplement cosmetics. So herbal extraction process, I think if you want to become a natural product, research herbal research, these are some very important information you want to know. Yeah, extraction, important parameters, solid liquid extraction include the use of the right appropriate solvent system. You have to know the nature of the active ingredient, the solvent to herbs ratio, particle size of ground material, temperature, duration, vegetation rate, and so on. Okay, solvent use, and then whether you need to use temperature, pressure, whether you want to use microwave to increase diffusion. These are all the different techniques to improve extraction. And you use whether you want to extract polar chemical, non-polar chemical, you have to use the right solvent. You need to use water, methanol, or non-polar, hexane, dichromate. It depends on what type of materials you want to isolate. So, and solvent, and then remove, finally you get the extracts. Short extraction time desirable to minimize potential degradation of the bioactive material. Okay. Herbal extraction technique, maceration, infusion, accelerated solvent extraction, liquid, various techniques, distillation, essential oil, supercritical fluid extraction. These are your topics in your pharmacology class, I think. So these are the different herbal extraction techniques that you can use. And then the steps in herbal drug formulation. As I mentioned just now, you start with the drying, grinding, extraction of the plant material, got the extracts, and then the powdered extract, or you can form powdered extracts, fruit extract, and you prepare the pharmaceutical form. So herbal formulation, the main components and herbal formulation, basically two. One, active ingredients, another is the excipient. Excipient, non-active component. So active constituent responsible for therapeutic action, and then the active constituent extracts from herbs are isolated and processed and formulated to different additional excipient may be added. Excipients are inert substances such as binders, lubricants, preservatives, fillers, coloring, flavoring agent, and so on. Serve as a vehicle or medium for the active substance. Herbal dosage form are like physical form, solid, semi-solid, produced from herbs with and without excipient in a particular formulation. So all these tablets, decoction, capsule, ointment, and so on, you have in the market. There are two types of herbal medicine. One is the traditional herbal for preparation, aqueous form like this, extract, infusion, dried plant extract, categorized as indigenous herbal medicine, jamu, Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine, and so on. And you have the commercial herbal products, standardized, modified herbal extract, freeze-dried, nanoparticles, sudah ada sekarang, product indigenous herbal medicine in pharmaceutical form. Yeah, if it's pharmaceutical form, it's not traditional anymore. If you prepare the jamu in pharmaceutical form, it's considered as commercial herbal product. It's not more jamu gendong, right? Jamu gendong is a traditional herbal preparation. You prepare your jamu in a pharmaceutical form, in form of those in capsule, tablet, so it's a commercial herbal products. So, yeah, now guidelines, regulation on herbal medicine is important to regulate the marketing of the herbal product to make sure the product is high quality, safe, and also effective. So international, even countries have different law to guide. In Indonesia, Badan POM regulate this. So, for example, herbs I mentioned just now are different category. Why they do this? To safeguard the interest of the consumer. Their product, of course, the industry, they want to make money, but more important is to safeguard the interest of the consumer. So each country establish standard rules and guidelines on herbal medicine. So the strict enforcement of law, regulations to check on. Okay, I know time is up. These are regulations of herbs in US. They have health supplement, health education act for herbal product. You cannot claim herbal product to treat disease in US. In Germany, in Europe, under the German Commission E, they use herbal extract as they regulated herbal extract as drug. So they have genuine herbal medicine in Europe. So the doctor over there can prescribe genuine herbal medicine, but not in US. US herbal medicine are considered as health supplement, cannot be used or cannot be claimed to treat disease. In Indonesia, Malaysia, in between. It depends on what criteria you are or they are. So if it's a herbal extract, whether it's a jamu, whether it's herbal standard or phytopharmaca. So, okay, I mentioned about this. These are the evidence, I think. Okay, research gaps and challenges. Lack of accurate translation and interpretation of pharmaceutical knowledge. I mentioned this already. Technology readiness level industry. So this is very expensive. I'll show you the modern techniques just now. R&D are not market driven, more towards academic, published papers by academics and little commercialization. Many past and ongoing clinical trials are not been successful. Scientific value versus commercialization. So scientists sometimes they prefer to publish their work rather than commercialize their product. And then a lot of half-baked research product results are being used to promote products in the market. This is wrong, but that's what I've been doing. Half-baked research to produce market-driven product with high commercial value, but with limited focus on the science to understand what are the mechanism on molecular level. Insufficient in dissemination research finding to industry players, lack of awareness on regulatory matters, lack of sufficient fund to carry research, and also little international collaboration for knowledge and technology transfer. So these are research strategies. Adopt multidisciplinary. This is my last few slides. Adopt multidisciplinary integrated approach in natural product research for discovery of drug leads, drug discovery and development herbal medicine. And then every experience-based claims must be investigated and transformed into evidence-based information. Research focus should probably be based on disease targets or end use rather than on plant species. Priority natural product research has to be on health supplement, bukan drug discovery. It's something that is practical, doable. Don't dream of coming out with new drugs. It's not possible right now. Herbal health supplement might be possible. Real value herbal supplement, herbal product depends on compliance standards set for efficiency, efficacy, safety, and quality, and so on. Yeah. To focus short-term, long-term research, you have to focus on quality, safety for short, medium term is safety. The first short term is quality, efficacy long term, because this is more important. Quality, if as long as your herbal product is safe, high quality, it doesn't matter if it's effective or not. Efficacy is not important because the product don't kill people. Because it's up to you, up to the consumer. But most important thing is safe and of high quality. So in terms of strategy to do research, natural product research, I think we should focus on quality first, followed by safety. Efficacy is important because it's a high claim. This is phytopharmaca actually. Problem with phytopharmaca is efficacy. You don't have problem with herbal standard, the corporate standard, you can achieve with quality and safety, right? But efficacy, you have to do it, but it's a long-term strategy. Okay, collaboration between all parties. Tak boleh work alone. You scientists need to collaborate with government, with industry, work together, and then to come up with a successful herbal industry. Yeah, because what is happening is lack of collaboration, involvement too many government agencies giving grants, lack of competent scientists in drug discovery, medicine, and also little involvement of industries, multinational in R&D. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan. Okay. It's definitely a very interesting and informative presentation. Okay, all right. We move to the question and answer session. We have about 5 questions, and anyone can raise your hand and you can speak in English or Bahasa Indonesia. Give your name and ask the question. The question also inquire for participant in a Zoom meeting. You can raise your hand, open your mic, give your name, and ask the question. So, anyone to ask the question for participant? For participant in Zoom meeting, you can write down your question in column chat. Okay, for the offline participation first, yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you in advance for the opportunity. My name is Cahyaning Pertiwi. I would like to ask about an active compound that has multiple targets. So how do we know which mechanism is the most effective? Wouldn't it be better if we focus on one target so it can be more selective? Or should we just analyze all of those mechanisms on different targets at once? Thank you.
I think it depends on your objective. Let's say you want to identify a drug or herbal medicine for certain purpose, right? Let's say as a anti-inflammatory agent, and then you can use mono-target, and then you come out with your product. You can do that, but you, without using the multi-target approach, you don't really understand the actual mechanisms going on. So it's a challenge actually. It depends on your purpose I mentioned. If let's say you are in industry, you want to come up with the anti-inflammatory agent, you can use a reductionist approach, single target. That's fine. You come out with your product. But knowledge-wise, it's not complete. You need to know more about that. So you need to know about the pathway involved, yeah, about the protein, about the gene expression, and then this is the reason why you need to have the multi-target approach. And this is added value to your product. Kalau you are coming out product anti-inflammatory, compared product in the market, your product is more scientific because you provide more information on the mechanism of action because you are using the multi-target approach. I'm not saying using single target is not appropriate. I am just saying that it's not providing you enough information on what's happening. I showed you just now because knowledge, ilmu itu dalam, is very deep, and so it depends on you. It's just thing like coming with a product. Kalau in industry, you come out with herbal medicine, it's very competitive. Let's say you come out with a product on Sambiloto, for example, right? Under KP Penanggalata. A company producing herbal extract with a very straightforward information, right? On certain target, one target. But you provide the very thorough information, and with this way, your product as a, in terms of scientific value, is much higher. Yeah.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Bintang Arfian Hadista dari kelas D. Izin bertanya, di seluruh dunia itu kan banyak beragam tanaman, spesies. Nah, ada beberapa tanaman yang bisa dijadikan obat dan ada beberapa tanaman yang berbahaya jika dijadikan obat. Nah, apakah tanaman yang berbahaya itu senyawa aktifnya bisa dimodifikasi agar bisa menjadi tanaman berobat? Terima kasih.
Okay, that's what they have been doing. Itu memang dijalankan sejak pada dulu sampai sekarang. Because as I mentioned, ubat, whether is a modern drug or herbal medicine, they are dose dependent. Maknanya bergantungan dos. In a normal dose, some can be used as food. Pada dos yang tinggi menjadi racun. Okay. So in terms of chemical, a chemical may be toxic naturally. Betul, dia toxic dalam sebagai bahan alam. Jadi kita sebagai saintis, kita boleh modify the structure to remove the characteristic yang menyebabkan dia menjadi toxic. For example, a compound mempunyai functional groups yang boleh menjalan proses alkylation, menyebabkan kesan-kesan cytotoxic. Alkylation maknanya kumpulan alkyl yang boleh, for example, kalau dalam inner body ada kumpulan thiol, so they can alkylation interact and it cause toxic effect. So you can modify the compound, you remove the alkyl group yang menyebabkan alkylation itu, jadi menjadi selamat. So you can do it. That's what scientists have been doing. So they and also it's good sebenarnya kalau you buat screening, it's very good to have a toxic compound. Why? Because toxic compound is very potent. There's a very nona dose and and a very, like say, micromole dose or nonamole dose. They are very toxic. So you use a very, very low dose and to look at the effects, whether it's useful to be used as medicine. Because most drugs, potent drugs, they are very, very potent, and dose-nya pun very, very small. So, okay.
I'm sorry. For the third question, we move to participant in Zoom meeting. There is one participant that has been raised hand. So for the participant, could you open your microphone?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apakah suara saya terdengar?
Ya, terdengar.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Patricia dari kelas A. Saya akan bertanya kepada Profesor. In this decades, treatment returned to nature. So that herbal medicine was hard sell in many countries, including in the West. And my attention is traditional Chinese medicine. Why traditional medicine was considered more effective for treatment, especially in Asia? And traditional Chinese medicine is often applied in helping handle the side effect of chemotherapy, helping the treatment of drug dependence prohibited, and treating a variety of chronic conditions that conventional medicine deems impossible to cure. And moreover, we take the regular herbal medicines, its effects are somewhat long, but Chinese medicine is faster. And my questions is, what causes it? And according to the professor of herbal medicine, is really better than chemical drugs? And if yes, why? And if not, why? Thank you, Professor.
Can repeat? Just repeat the question. Repeat the question. Just repeat the question.
Dear Tarisa, could you repeat only for your question?
Okay. My questions is, why causes the traditional Chinese medicine was considered more effective for treatment, especially in Asia, and can helping handle effect of chemotherapy, helping the treatment of drug dependence prohibited, and treatment variety of chronic condition that conventional medicine deems impossible to cure. And my question is why? And according to the professor of herbal medicine is really better than chemical drugs? If yes, why? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. I think it's actually what we have been discussing today. Maybe I couldn't elaborate much because of the time constraint. Yeah? Chinese traditional medicine or complementary medicine, they are not evidence-based. They are based on experience, based on clinical experience, right? Modern medicine, they are evidence-based. They are based on all the study you have discussed. They punya straight right from the lab, the clinics to the market. All are evidence-based, based on proof. So in modern day practice, we have to follow the evidence-based practice. So in terms of Chinese traditional medicine, They are effective, yeah, based on reports, based on testimonial, based on experience and so on. But unfortunately, they don't have enough reported, published clinical data to support their efficacy. So that's a problem with traditional medicine, including Chinese traditional medicine. They may be effective, ya, tapi tiada maklumat-maklumat, dokumen-dokumen yang boleh kita rujuk berdasarkan kepada sains. We are students of science. You are a pharmacist. You are a medical doctor. You cannot be based on what people say. Based on experience, tak boleh. That is not the system we use. We are students of science. Kita menuntut ilmu berdasarkan kepada bukti, right? Science evidence based. And these are being used to support or to justify any problems or any justification in the use of treatment, any treatment, herbal medicine, drugs. So if you ask me, Chinese traditional medicine or complementary medicine, they have been useful, yes, betul. Tapi pada aspek evidence based, penggunaan yang lebih tepat, lebih ethical adalah penggunaan ubat-ubat moden. And Chinese traditional medicine, they may be effective, but they are exposed to high risk. As mentioned just now, they don't have data on chronic toxicity. You never know, some people died of cancer because taking all this product. But the product have been used for so long and it treat the disease target. Katalah dia ada hypertension, dia guna herbal extract, herbal Ayurvedic, Chinese, jamu. They treat the hypertension. Tetapi after some time, 6 months, 1 year, they develop cancer. This is concern of all the traditional users, because dia tidak ada maklumat scientific, no evidence. That's the reason why you have all this regulatory, you have all this category of herbs into kategori jamu, terstandar, herbal terstandar dan phytopharmaca. Traditional Chinese medicine, if it's category as jamu, so you have to follow according to jamu punya tu. If it's Chinese Chinese medicine already have, it's a herbal terstandar, so you need to have animal data. Kalau the Chinese medicine can be used clinically, yes, tetapi dia kena ada clinical data macam phytopharmaca is the same thing. If the product, whether it's Chinese, from China, from India, from Malaysia, is Indonesia, they have to follow the regulation. Kalau tak mencapai, so this is jamu. Tidak boleh diguna untuk penyakit serius seperti kanser. Begitu. Cuma boleh diguna sebagai tonic kuat. I hope I answered that question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So clearly, Tarisa?
Sudah Ibu, terima kasih Profesor.
Okay, you're welcome. And anyone question? Okay, maybe we have only 2 questions. Okay, in the behind. Okay, belakang.
Oke, perkenalkan nama saya Muhammad Yovalen. I'm from class D. First of all, I'm sorry if my question is a bit out of topic, but there's something I want to ask about. So you just explained the detail about drug discovery itself, but I want to ask a bit from another aspect, if I'm allowed. So how big is the impact from business or the market point of view to the drug discovery itself? Since the fact we do hear lots of plants, which actually has a lot of potential for chronic disease as a drug, but only little of them really had a true research. So is it wrong if we make assumption that the pharmacy industry really feel making profitable drug in patent is more crucial than making a new drug with higher efficacy. That's all for me.
Conspiracy theory. Okay, people always comment about this. This is a drug company like a cartel, controlling the business. So they make sure that the modern drugs in the market, there won't be any new competitor. So if a natural product is potential, so they don't allow them to move forward. It depends on. There's a lot of misinformation. If you did, for example, you know about vaccine, yeah, there's a lot of people who are anti-vaccine, a lot of misinformation of in vaccine in the internet, in the YouTube and so on, a lot of social media. I think it's very important, especially those for us as scientists, as pharmacists, you have to get the right information from the right source. Tapi there's a lot of information. There's a lot of conspiracy theory from media, and then some of them, and I think most of them, are misinformation. It's not following the mainstream thoughts. For example, when I say mainstream, is WHO, the government, FDA. Okay, your question about the pharma, big pharma, controlling the business. They don't want any new drug coming to the market. Let's say there's new discovery of a product from Indonesia as anti-cancer. So it's not easy for the product to come up in the market because they don't want the drug to compete with the present drug in the market. So, of course, you can say a lot of things about it, but it need to be the same thing. It need to be evident, be well informed. Otherwise, it's just an hearsay. I think a lot, as I said, the anti-vaccine using of ivermectin as antiviral agent for COVID-19. All these are information you can get from internet. You read anything about all these things. So you have to make sure the information is right or wrong, whether it's false or true. So how do you know that? Macam mana nak tahu benda tu palsu atau tidak? How you want to know that? You have to equip yourself with the knowledge. Contohnya, if you are well informed about antiviral agent, you read a lot about antiviral, you read a lot of anti-inflammatory. So you read some information that is not appropriate, you know, this is rubbish. This is misinformation. It's just a conspiracy. Yeah. So you have to get it from the right source. As for me, I don't want to go into, don't want to have problems of getting information from the wrong sources. You have to get it from the established. For example, you are a researcher, you get your material from articles published in referred journal. Betul? Bukan komik, bukan majalah-majalah hiburan, bukan YouTube nyanyi sana nyanyi situ, bukan YouTube tentang purpose for commercialization pun as a influencer. That's happening now. So you as a scientist, you as a student of science, you have to decide secara betul which one. So the best reference, the source is using scientific sources. Kalau saya sebagai scientist, let's say I got information from you about that. So what the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look for references in journals, in publication, authorized, authority. Yeah, you know, for example, journal, flagship journal yang orang rujuk, saintis besar rujuk. You don't go for materials yang with a lot of news media. Kalau you Google, memang dikategori sebagai news media yang memberi maklumat palsu. The reason for that, they have many reasons. One is for commercial reason. One is for competition, sometimes for competition, of course related to commercial. So you have to be careful. I think I heard about that. A lot of theory, to me, is a conspiracy theory. Teori-teori konspirasi yang tidak berdasarkan kepada nilai-nilai saintifik, yang tidak ada sumber-sumber yang boleh dipercayai, dan berautoriti. That's my response.
Okay, any other? The last question. Ya, silakan.
Oke, terima kasih Prof. Saya ingin bertanya, Indonesia obat herbal itu menjadi obat yang memiliki concern karena dia itu dipercayai memiliki efek samping yang rendah. Nah, for the long time, apakah obat herbal ini itu dapat menjadi pilihan utama untuk menjadi pengobatan ataukah dapat menjadi pilihan utama untuk terapi jangka panjang ataupun jangka pendek? Please, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. Ubat herbal medicine dengan modern drug, they cannot be the same. Dari aspek physical, aspek regulatory, dia tidak boleh sama. Ubat modern is single form, pure. Herbal extract multi-component. Okay. Herbal extract, kalau dia sudah sampai ke peringkat phytopharmaca dengan ada clinical trial, ada safety profile, ada efficacy, quality, it can be used, no problem, to treat diseases. Tetapi problemnya sekarang, di Indonesia, di Malaysia, medical doctor or in practice, they don't want to use phytopharmaca yet. Betul. They still want to use modern medicine because maybe they are quite skeptical of herbal medicine because the clinical trial itu tidak elaborate. For clinical trial herbal medicine yang dijalankan mungkin tak ada phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 sedetail modern medicine. So and also maybe pharmacists, medical doctor, you are trained in reduction approach pharmacology. Betul. You belajar apa? Drug, new drug, or pure drug, working on receptor, pharmacological response. Tapi herbal medicine tak gitu. Herbal medicine macam saya explain, is multi-component. So kalau bagi pada practitioner, they are very skeptical, most of them. Dia tak pasal, to me, the times will come. But, tapi di negara seperti di Eropah, European Union, more than 85% of their medical doctor prescribing herbal medicine to treat diseases, but not the major disease. Bukan macam cancer, tak. Some diseases. Of course, they have clinical data. For example, they guna ginkgo biloba untuk dementia. Why? Because they have a lot of double-blind clinical trial to show it's very effective and no side effects and so on. So the doctor there and the government with the regulation, they allow the herbs to be used or to be prescribed by the doctors to treat dementia together, maybe as a adjuvant, as a supplement with drugs to treat dementia. So it's happening now in Europe. In Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand and so on, di South Asia belum berlaku lagi. Phytopharmaca sudah ada di market, but it's not being used by hospital, belum lagi. Because as I said, it need regulation need to be modified, need to be amended, to be changed, and then kesedaran practitioner pun perlu mereka perlu membuka minda and then because it's been proven, ada data kan, so why don't you use it? Tapi in any drug ataupun treatment, they always go for the best treatment. So they say it's not as good as the drug of choice. So why should I go for alternative medicine? Betul. And now we are comfortable to use for example methotrexate as anti-cancer agent. Why should I go for herbal medicine that can be used for the same purpose? Unless it's much better, it's stronger ataupun it's much safer. So itu memang at the crossroad, masih lagi dalam peringkat crossroad, maknanya pertengahan jalan lagi. Belum ada nampak lagi the light at the end of the tunnel ataupun cahaya di ujung lorong belum nampak lagi.
Jelas, Mami? Okay, thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end part of this session because before I close this session, I would like to conclude about our discussion today about in the research for new drugs, medicinal plants used in crude drugs productions are good sources for screening because of the long-term clinical evidence in support of medicinal drug activity. Recently, advance in research on natural products of plants and their commercial potential as medicine are discussed. Approach in natural products research are drugs discovery and development and herbal medicine research. The last but not least, the key issues in herbal medicines are quality of raw materials and products, efficacy of herbal preparation, and safety aspects of products. All right, yeah. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank to our speakers, Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan for your informative and interesting presentation, and to all the participants. Once again, please give applause to Professor Dato Dr. Ibrahim Jantan. Hopefully we can see you again in another session. Stay safe, stay healthy, and goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The session return to M.Si for further announcements. Thank you.
Thank you for moderator. Ya, hadirin sekalian, mahasiswa dan mahasiswi program studi farmasi Universitas Islam Bandung. Dengan berakhirnya sesi penutupan tadi dari moderator, maka berakhir pula acara kuliah tamu pada hari ini. Tapi sebelum kita tutup, ini akan ada surprise terlebih dahulu. Akan ada 3 orang pemenang. Ya, enggak. Ya, jadi kita punya hadiah untuk 3 penanya terbaik. Tadi ada berapa orang yang menanyakan? Ada 4 yang di sini ya. 1 di Zoom. Berarti dari 5 kita akan ambil 3 terbaik penanya. Siapa saja saya sudah dapat listnya. Jadi nanti setelah ini, setelah sesi ditutup, bagi siapa saja yang mendapatkan, oh boleh. Berarti arahnya ke sana. Dari sini gitu. Ya. Sesi foto bersama dulu katanya. Jadi silakan pasang wajah terbaiknya. Pasang senyum terbaiknya katanya. Sama saya aja, Bu. Mau foto aja masih ribut, sok tersenyum sekarang mah ya. Ya, masih nungguin apa di sini? Baik, 3 penanya terbaik saya sudah dapat listnya. Jadi nanti setelah sesi ini selesai, boleh menghubungi ke saya ya untuk dikonfirmasi. Nanti hadiahnya mungkin jalan-jalan ke Taman Radio. Tadi teh pantun ceritanya, kenapa nggak bilang cakep? Baik, untuk yang di Zoom masih ya, masih standby ya. Oke. Untuk yang mendapatkan hadiah pertama ya, hadiah pertama mendapatkan brosur umroh. Iya brosur umroh atas nama Muhammad Yovalen. Kemudian yang kedua, ini mendapatkan 1 unit brosur rumah senilai 400 juta rupiah jatuh kepada Saudari Tarisa Perolin. Halo Tarisa yang dari Zoom, boleh on mic? Masih
Halo
ada ya?
Kak,
Oke.
ya makasih.
Siap, nanti setelah
Nanti
ini
dihubunginnya
boleh.
gimana?
Nanti hari Senin berarti ya. Nanti mau hubungi ke saya hari Senin ya. Ya, nuhun ya Tarisa Perolin, selamat mendapatkan brosur 1 unit rumah. Alhamdulillah ya. Baik, selanjutnya ini yang ketiga mendapatkan 1 unit Suzuki R3 berupa price list. Ini jatuh kepada Saudari Cahyaning. Baik, sudah 3 ya. Oh, Cahyaning nggak ada? Oh, ada. Baik, terima kasih hadirin semuanya teman-temanku, adik-adikku yang dari mahasiswa-mahasiswa program studi farmasi Unisba. Kami atas nama panitia mohon undur diri dan mohon maaf apabila ada kesalahan dan juga hal-hal yang tidak berkenan selama pelaksanaan acara. Kesalahan murni datangnya dari saya, kebenaran hanyalah milik Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Marilah sama-sama kita tutup majelis ilmu yang barokah ini dengan sama-sama membaca doa penutup majelis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Saya tutup bila Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan sampai jumpa di kuliah tamu selanjutnya. Oh, ini kata yang punya, yang kata tuan rumah nggak boleh buang sampah sembarangan ya, sok dibawa lagi. Ya, tertib ya, tetap tertib. Terima kasih.